Loretta Graziano Broning. Status games. Why we play and how to stop. We spend a surprising amount of our lives chasing approval, trying to stand out, be respected, or at least not fall behind. Whether it's climbing the career ladder, racking up likes on social media, or simply keeping up with the Joneses, the pressure to measure up is constant. But have you ever stopped to wonder where that constant pressure actually comes from? Beneath all our modern habits and expectations lies something far more primal: the drive for status. It's not just cultural or psychological, it's biological. Our brains are wired to crave recognition, to care deeply about how we stack up, and reward us when we feel like we're winning. In fact, this urge for social importance is even more deeply rooted than our urges for food or sex. Once you see this instinct for what it is, a leftover from your mammalian past, it becomes much easier to navigate. You're not flawed or shallow for wanting to feel important. You're simply human. In this blink, you'll explore where that urge comes from, how it continues to shape your choices, how to stop it from running the show, and how to support others caught in the same loop. But don't worry, you won't need to abandon your ambition or ignore your instincts in the process. Instead, you'll discover how to work with your mammalian desire for status rather than be ruled by it. Sound good? Well, let's get started. How status games started. Admitting you care about social status isn't exactly cocktail party material. In fact, in today's world, it's often easier to talk about your romantic life than to confess that you want to feel important. But here's the thing: that desire, to be noticed, respected, and a little above, isn't a flaw. It's biology. Your brain is wired to care, and it has been for a very, very long time. Long before humans showed up, mammals were already competing for status. Once they'd met their basic needs, food, safety, shelter, they used the rest of their energy to jockey for position, because higher status meant better chances of survival and reproduction. Those who moved up the social ladder got more access to resources and mates. They weren't consciously thinking about spreading their genes. They just did what felt good. But nature, quite cleverly, designed brains that made it feel very good to do so. Contrasting mammals with our cold-blooded cousins, reptiles, can help us understand why. Reptiles leave their young to fend for themselves. Yet their gene pools endure because they produce so many offspring, knowing enough will survive and, eventually, mate. Mammals, on the other hand, have fewer babies, so they need to intentionally protect and nurture them. This single difference required a new kind of brain, one capable of bonding, learning, and building social groups. And with it came something else: a strong incentive to rise within those groups. That's where the serotonin and cortisol systems come in. Every time a mammal has a positive social experience, feeling included, praised, or respected, their brain rewards them with a hit of serotonin. Every time they feel rejected, overlooked, or threatened, cortisol sounds the alarm. Over time, the brain wires itself based on those experiences. Mammals start to associate certain behaviors, fellow mammals, or situations with good or bad feelings. In short, the mammalian brain learns how to play the status game early and quickly. Indeed, identical patterns play out in the human mammal. Ancient civilizations wrote about social rivalry in their earliest texts, and across every culture, humans have found different ways to measure who's up and who's down. The rules may, and do, change, but the game stays the same. The drive for status is part of what it means to be human, but understanding where it comes from doesn't just explain your behavior, it also gives you the power to rethink it. How status games endure. With this context in place, the quiet yet constant tug-of-war taking place inside your brain makes a lot more sense. Whether we notice it or not, this tug-of-war plays a massive role in how we see ourselves, how we interact with others, and how much we care about where we stand. At the center of it all are two key brain chemicals, serotonin and cortisol. And they're not just background players, They're running the show when it comes to our relationship with status. Let's start with serotonin, our brain's built-in reward system. You get a boost of it whenever you feel important, respected, admired, even just slightly ahead of the pack. That warm, satisfying feeling? It's not a fluke. It's your brain saying, yes, this is good, do more of whatever generates that. But here's the catch. Serotonin fades quickly, so you're left chasing the next high. A win, a compliment, a moment where you feel seen. Over time, your brain wires itself around these moments. Each time you feel that serotonin hit, your brain lays down a little trail, nudging you to follow it again. Your behavior starts to take shape around the rewards you've experienced in the past, even if you're not consciously aware it's happening. And thanks to something called mirror neurons, you don't just learn from your own wins and losses, you pick up on other people's too. You feel an equivalent response when someone else gets praise or criticism. We learn by watching, not just doing. Then there's cortisol, our brain's internal alarm system. It evolved to protect our ancestors from real threats like predators or dangerous situations. But today, it flares up when your social standing feels even slightly under threat. A dismissive comment, a social snub, being left out. These might not be life-threatening, but your brain doesn't always know the difference. It reacts as if your survival is at stake. Cortisol doesn't wait for logic. It just makes you feel bad, anxious, uncomfortable, even panicked. So you'll do whatever it takes to make that feeling stop. And just like serotonin, it leaves a trace. Your brain remembers what triggered it and quietly steers you away from similar situations in the future. At the end of the day, it helps to remember that our brains are simply doing what they were built to do. Seek what feels good, avoid what feels bad, and keep us safe. But once you understand how these chemicals guide your thoughts and actions, you can stop being pulled along by them and start choosing a path that feels a whole lot better. How to stop playing. So, although admitting you desire social status isn't common cocktail party conversation, it's an entirely normal desire. Whether it's being seen, respected, or just getting a little extra recognition, that craving isn't a personal flaw. It's your inner mammal doing what it's been wired to do. But here's the good news. Just because status seeking is natural doesn't mean it has to be in charge. You can learn to work with it instead of being led by it. Remember what we learned about serotonin? Your brain rewards moments of social success with a hit of this feel-good chemical. And it does feel good, but it doesn't last long. That's why you often find yourself pursuing the next win, the next like, the next compliment. Yet constant striving can leave you stressed, frustrated, and exhausted. On the flip side, ignoring that drive altogether can lead to resentment or a nagging feeling that you're invisible. The sweet spot? Somewhere in the middle. This middle path isn't a fixed destination. It requires repeated recalibration and returning to. Some days you'll want to push harder, other days you'll need to rest. What matters is that you're steering, checking in with yourself and gently shifting back to balance. And like any skill, this gets easier the more you practice. Start by accepting your inner drive for status. It's not weakness, it's wiring. Then, focus on small, meaningful steps you can be proud of. When you make progress, your brain rewards you with dopamine. When you build connection, oxytocin steps in. These don't have to be giant leaps, just steady signals that you're staying on your self-defined track. You can also shift how you pursue status. Instead of competing, try creating. Build something valuable, solve a problem, support someone else. These actions don't just feed your inner mammal, they ease its fear of scarcity. And they come without the emotional cost of comparison. How to help others. Helping others feels good, really good. It gives you a sense of purpose, connection, and strength. But sometimes hidden in that generous impulse, there's a subtle boost to your own sense of status. Without even realizing it, you might feel a little one-up when you're the one offering help. That doesn't make you selfish. You've got a mammal brain like everyone else. Still, it's worth being honest with yourself. Are you helping to support someone or helping to feel better about yourself? It's innately human to want to ease someone's pain, but it's also easy to misread that pain. More often than we realize, we project our own feelings onto others. We assume they're struggling the same way we once did, and we rush in with advice or solutions that might not fit. Sometimes we're not really responding to their needs, we're responding to echoes of our own. The truth is, you can't rewire someone else's brain. You can't undo their past experiences or rearrange their internal wiring, but what you can do is show them what's possible. The most lasting influence doesn't come from advice, it comes from example. Remember those mirror neurons we discussed earlier? Your brain is full of them, and they fire whenever you see someone else feel rewarded, succeed, or suffer. That's why people learn emotional habits the same way they learn physical skills, by watching. When you navigate life with calm, quiet confidence, and without tearing others down, others pick up on that. When you pursue meaningful progress instead of chasing constant wins, you show that small steps are worth celebrating. And when you handle setbacks without spiraling, you give others permission to do the same. Final summary. In this Blink to Status Games by Loretta Graziano Bruning, you've learned that chasing social status might seem like a modern obsession, but it's actually an ancient instinct wired into your mammal brain. The urge to be noticed, respected, or one-up isn't a flaw. It's biology doing its job. But here's the good news. Just because this drive is natural doesn't mean it has to run your life. Once you understand where it comes from, you can stop letting it steer you into stress and comparison. Instead, you can choose a different path, one focused on real progress, inner calm, and self-respect. That doesn't mean giving up ambition. It means defining success on your own terms. Small wins, creative efforts, and genuine connections start to feel just as rewarding as chasing recognition. And when you live from that place, you not only feel better, you become someone others naturally learn from. Your brain may be wired for status, but you have the power to rise above the game. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please take the time to leave us a rating. We always appreciate your feedback. See you in the next Blink.